I love my kids, but they are not my everything. I had a whole lifetime before. I ran marathons, climbed mountains, wrote a novel that was published and did moderately successful in the 00s, and have a Master of Fine Arts in creative writing. Chatting with some folks in the neighborhood, we got to talking about our greatest accomplishments. When it came to me, Tom said, "Oh, well, we know what your greatest accomplishment is, obviously. You have 3 beautiful, well-behaved children." I was honestly shocked, and I said, "No, that's not my greatest accomplishment." He looked just as shocked, and I said what my greatest accomplishment is, and then said, "And by the way, I resent the assumption that having kids is my greatest accomplishment. You have kids, why didn't you say that?" He said how he didn't birth the kids, and how that's a miracle of life, and all that gag me crap. I just rolled my eyes and said, "Let's not boil women down to their biological functions, okay?" Jen, who has kids, chimed in and said, "Well, my kids are my greatest accomplishment. I can't imagine thinking about anything else." Tom looked super smug, others including other moms chimed in. All of the moms agreed their kids were their greatest accomplishment. I kind of stewed about it. After that, the woman who chimed in sent me a message asking me if I needed to talk to someone, and asked if I was depressed because my statement was worrisome. She ended up reaching out to my husband to encourage me to get help because it seems I'm unhappy being a mom, and that puts my kids at risk. Am I really the idiot here for thinking being a mom isn't the end-all be-all of my life? Like, what the hell? I get a different read from your story than most. They were giving you a compliment. You have 3 beautiful, well-behaved children, and while you may not have had the default answer of your kids being your biggest accomplishment, I think you feel the need to pick a fight because they are assuming you might have the same perspective that they have. If you feel the need to correct them, go for it, but perhaps you use it as a moment to teach them rather than being combative and the whole gag me crap. Not the idiot. I hate the assumption that everyone has to think exactly the same when it comes to kids. I'm pregnant and half of my workmates seem baffled that I'm not cooing and desperately fighting other people to hold babies when people bring them into the office. I would assume that you did mention that you're proud of your kids at some point in the conversation, but that you found raising them less of a challenge than X or Y. Each to their own, as long as your kids are cared for, loved and supported. No one has any right to tell you how to feel. You are the idiot. Regardless of what you think your greatest accomplishment is and what Tom assumed it was, this was just a casual conversation of no consequence. My thought was Tom was trying to be complimentary, make small talk. He didn't say it was your only accomplishment, and you simply could have talked about what you do think are your greatest accomplishments. Instead, you get so confrontational that others in the group try to de-escalate and protect Tom from your outburst. Christ, people aren't perfect, no reason to bite their heads off for it. Get over yourself. I am a high schooler with a weekend job at a coffee shop. My coworkers who work weekends are: James, the owner's son, goes to my school. He's a shift manager, but it's not a real formal thing, he's a friendly guy. Danielle, a college student who sometimes works weekends too. So sometimes customers will come in and just be angry about such little stuff. Like literally blowing up about nothing. I don't know if they're in a bad mood already and looking for someone to take it out on or what, but it's a lot. Like how sad, so you have to be a grown man taking your anger out on high school and college kids. So James and I were joking about having a little fun with them and hopefully getting them off our backs. So one day I was at work and some guy was having a temper about how we don't make the coffee hot enough. Which I couldn't do a thing about because I gave it to him right out of the machine. So James came in and was like, "Sir, is there a problem here?" And the guy started ranting at him too. So he was just like, "OP, this is unacceptable, you're fired." I started acting really sad, like, "No, please don't fire me, my family needs the money, I need this job, please," and he played up being hard, telling me to take off my apron and leave. The angry guy started to backtrack, like, "It isn't that big of a problem, you don't need to fire her over it." I didn't mean it, and James was like, "No, we pride ourselves on the best customer service." Of course, after all that drama I still had my job, we were just acting. And we've done it a couple times. Whenever a customer will lose their temper at Danielle or I, James will storm in and fire us. And almost every time, the person who had come in angry will apologize and say that they didn't mean it. It's kind of satisfying, making people realize their actions might actually have consequences. Anyway, I was telling my friends from school about this, and a few of them thought it was a mean prank to let someone go away thinking they'd gotten someone who desperately needs the money fired. Am I the idiot for this joke? Not the idiot. Customers can be freaking idiots. Usually people are pretty respectful and reasonable, even when they have a legit complaint, but every now and then there's the one guy or gal that comes in and just can't be made happy. They're the worst. I've taken the approach of killing with kindness and being sarcastically polite. "Oh, okay sir. I can microwave your coffee for you, would you like 2 minutes or 5? It's fun, usually pisses them off more, but they can't do anything because you're not saying anything wrong. I'm curious how the customer acts when they come in the next day or following week and you're still behind the counter. This kind of reminds me of a video on YouTube where a teen goes to a barber for a haircut, and I can't remember what the prank was, but his intention was to prank the barber with some kind of shock reaction prank. Well, someone had told the barber about what the kid had planned, so the barber had his own prank planned. When the kid did his prank, the barber faked a heart attack and died right there on the barbershop floor. It was hilarious. I know this isn't the same thing as the OP post, but for some reason it made me remember it. You are the idiot. This situation seems pretty uncomfortable for everyone in the cafe. Most people go to cafes to relax. I know if I saw it happen, I would think the place has idiot managers and I wouldn't come back. I would probably tell all my friends not to go as well. Customers blowing up is something you will occasionally have to deal with in the service industry. It's literally what managers are paid to deal with, and your mate is not dealing with it appropriately. Is the owner aware you and his son are pulling these little pranks at the cost of his business? I imagine when he finds out you might be fired for real. This happened last year, but since it still gets brought up during arguments every now and then, and I just discovered here, I decided to check what you guys think. Me and my wife have 2 children, 15 and 11. My wife has been a stay-at-home mom since the birth of our second child. I, 46, work full-time and earn a 6-figure salary. My job is highly stressful, requires me to travel a lot and mostly sleep in hotels. I only get to come home to my family on every second weekend, on average. Despite working a lot, I am glad to do it so that my family can live a comfortable life. Last year, I decided to buy my wife a Roomba for Christmas. My wife tends to be the one who vacuums the house, so I presumed that she would like this present, as it would free her of this chore. As she unpacked the present, she was heavily offended and did not hesitate to show it, which made the whole situation quite uncomfortable as my parents and other members of the family were also present. She argued that this should not be a present directed at her but at the whole family, as it is the entire family's responsibility to clean up the house. Since I work and am the sole source of income in the family and she is a stay-at-home mother, I think it is apparent that she should take on responsibilities such as taking care of the kids and maintaining the house. The gift was intended to somewhat relieve her of this burden. I, personally, would have loved to have received a Christmas gift that would have somehow made it possible for me to spend less time working. As cheesy as it sounds, I think that time is one of the most precious gifts, and that Roomba would have definitely bought some time for her, time that she could use to do whatever she pleased instead of vacuuming. Unfortunately, 1 year later, this still often gets brought up during arguments, often coupled with her crying. So, am I the idiot in this situation? Not the idiot. I'm going against everyone. I think when you buy gifts like this you need to have a really good understanding of who you're married to. If my husband got me this I would be pumped. But he knows I'm the kind of person who would enjoy that as a gift. Your wife probably does appreciate it, but sees it as a splurge item you would get for household needs, instead of a meaningful gift directed solely towards her. People react differently to things. I think you have good intentions, but unfortunately they fall short. I think it's the fact that you gifted her a household item used for chores in front of all your family that is the main issue here. Imagine opening up something you think will be romantic or personalized from your significant other, only to be met by such an impersonal item. Trust me. Most women would rather have a handmade gift that cost a measly few dollars, as opposed to an expensive machine used to clean. Gifts are a reflection of how you see your significant other. This definitely made her think you didn't value her in the way you should have. Not the idiot. It sounds like a thoughtful gift on your part. Although you probably should have had a conversation about it with your wife, or even tested the waters by asking if she had seen them and what she thought of them. It might have prevented some of what you're going through now. But in any case, good for you for thinking through a gift that is bigger than anyone realizes, by freeing up time for your wife and your whole family, really allowing you to spend more of that limited time you have together. We have 2 children, a boy, Jay, and a girl, Lee. These are obviously not their real names. Jay is 12 and Lee is 15. So, let me start this off by saying that me and my wife live a very comfortable life. Basically, we've worked hard our entire lives and got promoted till we got to this point where we make enough money to support a lavish lifestyle. I'm merely mentioning this because I believe that this fact is the core of our problem. What I mean by that is that our income is giving some leeway for their mom to break their stuff. She often breaks their stuff when they misbehave, spend too much time on them, or get bad grades. Now I believe that there should be some sort of punishment for when this stuff happens. Taking their stuff away for a while would be an okay punishment. However, breaking their stuff is extreme and wasteful. Moreover, when I say their stuff, I'm talking about Lee's phone, which cost a hair over $1,000, and Jay's latest gaming console. Lately, Jay and Lee have been doing a lot of things that irked their mother. So, yesterday their mother had reached her boiling point, and she smashed Lee's phone by throwing it full force at the floor, and she cut Jay's PS4 cords. I suppose that Jay's predicament was far better than that of his sister, mostly since their mom didn't know how to break a PS4. I was out when she'd done all that. My kids told me once I arrived. I was annoyed. However, I stood by their mother's side and basically defended her actions. Once we were alone, I told her that she should stop breaking stuff. She said that they deserve it and should start listening to her if they want to keep their stuff. I told her that she could have just taken them and hidden them somewhere. She said she didn't want them to have hope of having it back anytime soon. Basically, we've argued on and on for an hour or so and haven't reached any compromise yet. Their mom does this about twice a year, and she ends up buying them their stuff back when they fixed their act. It's also fair to mention that these outbursts are unplanned. She just loses it and breaks their stuff. She does have anger issues, but never with me. You are the idiot for siding with her in front of your kids and letting them know that you're seemingly okay with her actions. This isn't normal. Wife or not, she's being completely psychotic. It doesn't matter if you're rich and can afford these things, you freaking paid $1,000 for a phone, and God knows how much for the console. And she's just breaking crap like that? No, mom needs to chill the hell out and get into some therapy. You should stand up for your kids. All they're learning by you siding with her is that they cannot trust you in situations like this, and will never be able to. That's some expensive anger management your wife has going for her. Your wife is of the mindset that your kids are an extension of her, and their things are her things to break. They're not her things. So every time she breaks one of your kids' things, break one of hers. Or try couples therapy. Teenagers are crapheads, but not generally malevolent. They do irritating things. And your wife is getting violent over it. She needs some help, professional help, before she hits one of your kids. Not the idiot. Not the idiot. She for sure needs therapy to deal with those outbursts, for the sake of your kids and their relationship with her. And if she doesn't want the kids to have hope of their things being returned, they should maybe be sold, and the money donated to a local charity or shelter, something that may help the kids appreciate their lifestyle more as well. Not saying they are ungrateful, because puberty hits everyone. But it could be a nice family bonding time. So I, 27, and my husband, 26, suffered a miscarriage last year. It was so hard for everyone. There is a tradition in my husband's family to name the firstborn girl Lena, fake name, and the firstborn boy, Jude, real name, but no one in the story has that name, so I think it's fine. Before the miscarriage we had never had a problem with those names and traditions, and I think having family traditions are cute. However, last year, before the miscarriage, we found out she was a girl, so naturally we told everyone her name was Lena. Now I am currently 6 months pregnant and it's another girl. My husband and I just announced the name Ilyana on Facebook. Most people just commented on how cute the name was or something similar. Then my mother-in-law messaged me and started flipping out. She said that we had always agreed the baby's first name would be Lena. I told her our first child was named Lena. We argued for a bit, and then she sent a message that read, "The agreement was your firstborn child." Then she sent another message saying no matter what we name our child, she will always call her Lena. I immediately blocked her. I showed the messages to my husband, who was pissed off. He sent her a message to say that we were cutting her off and that she will not get to meet the baby for a long time after it's born. Then he blocked her as well. Lots of family members have been messaging us saying to cut her some slack, as she's grieving the fact that she'll never have a grandchild named Lena. My husband's older brother has 3 boys and isn't having any more kids. I feel that her comments were so unnecessary and she isn't respecting that I still think of Lena as my child, but others think I was overreacting, and I shouldn't deprive my daughter of a relationship with her grandmother over some stupid remarks. So am I the idiot? Not the idiot. It is your child and your right to name it whatever you want. You never signed a contract about what to name your daughter. Also, grieving a name? That is a very screwed up priorities. She should be celebrating a new grandchild. However, if a name is more important to her, you are right to cut her off. You need to establish these boundaries and hold firm on them so she doesn't control you and your husband. And congratulations on the new baby. Not the idiot. Your mother-in-law has some seriously messed up priorities. She doesn't get a say in what you name your child. If you did cave and name her that, and I'm so glad you're not, you would remember your lost daughter every time you used her name. It's also really bad for your new daughter. She deserves her own identity and own name. Congratulations on your new baby, OP. Wishing you a safe and uneventful rest of your pregnancy and an easy delivery for little Ilyana. Hey Kai's husband. I'm glad she has you. The reason we cheer you on is because you are in the minority. Many husbands and wives would brush this off as that's just how they are and leave their spouse feeling unsupported. Congrats on your baby. Keep that toxic mess away. She doesn't get to grieve a freaking name. She can grieve Lena, but she's basically saying the first baby didn't count. Which is deeply insulting to you guys. And it would be so confusing for your daughter after Lena if she kept referring to her by her deceased sister's name.